your horn tingling? Let's rub horns. Horns up, horns up, horns up, horns up, horns up. We are Unicorn Podcast.
We have a special show today, a special guest, and a big update about some major developments within the Unicorn Fartcoin project. We're joined today by Exit the Matrix. He's one of our key community members, has an impressive background. He's going to share with us some things that he's been working on that are going to have a major impact on the UFD project. And it's not just him, it's the whole community continuing to step up. But Exit, I want to say welcome to the basement. Welcome to Duster Club. How are you doing today?
Hi, Ron. Doing really well. Thanks so much for having me. What a pleasure to be here. I've been a long-time viewer, so it feels a bit surreal to actually be part of the basement show. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're here, you're live, you're in the basement, and we've got a lot of big things going on in the project. And I know you've been very involved in making that happen. But your background's impressive. Your story about coming into UFD is interesting. Will you share a little bit just so the viewers, the dusters out there get a feel kind of for who you are and the credentials that you bring to be able to help us implement some really positive changes in the project?
Sure, absolutely. And I'll say I'm a humble servant of the unicorn. So before any of the credentials, that's important to get out of the way because, you know, it doesn't matter who we are. I think that all of us are here in service of a common vision, and that's really what unites us.
Absolutely.
A little bit about me. I have a corporate background in leading large components of $100 million plus projects, both in the private sector and for governments. Leadership at executive level, so overseeing big teams, 100 plus people of various backgrounds. My specialty really has been in large-scale business transformation projects that are enabled by technology. So things where large organizations are looking to change the way that they're doing things, and they're looking for how technology can support them. So things like organizational design, process optimization, simplification, strategy, of course, first and foremost, through all those things, marketing and sales as well. I've done a lot of work with AI, with web design. One of my specialties on several of the projects I've been on was security and privacy. I think those things apply. But you know, if all of this sounds kind of like here's a corporate guy, top of pyramid stuff, that's not really it. That's not. It may seem that way, right? Especially coming from a corporate background, but one of the methodologies that I ran across in my professional journeys was something called the MG Taylor methodology, which looks at organizations from a flat perspective. It looks at them like a hive, where various different bees or ants are performing their roles, but it happens in a distributed way. And I think that this really lines up particularly well with the decentralized model of crypto and the UFD community. So I left. Yeah,
you said something earlier that really struck a chord with me, and I'll see if you can remember exactly how you said it. I couldn't write it down fast enough, but you said something about large scale business transformations? Was that what you said? Because because when I heard that, I thought, and what you're saying also, right, about flat organizations and a hive. Like sometimes I talk about UFD being like I don't know if it's a matrix or like a network where we're all individual nodes, but we're all interconnected. But when you said that large scale business transformation, that struck a chord with me because I think it's important for us to remember with UFD, we are a large organization, right? All the dusters out there, if we thought of ourselves, you know, like a quote unquote company, we've got hundreds, we've got thousands of employees out there.
Absolutely. And so to translate it into the corporate terms, the types of things I worked with, I had directly about 30,000 clients. And then beyond that, the customers, the citizens that were benefiting from these projects were in the tens of millions. So that was the scale at which I worked, which is why these things, in terms of the crypto, to me, we're at a starting point. We're absolutely going to get into millions. We're gonna talk about that later, because I absolutely have a vision, and we're going to Valhalla. But you know, we start. This is a journey, and for me, life really is a journey. And the things that happen, I'm not looking for an outcome. I'm looking for what are the milestones that I'm going to see. What are the signposts I'm going to see along this journey, rather than I'm shooting for some destination where we're at billions or whatever. No, that's not it.
Yeah. And that's, I think as we grow and as the community evolves, having some structure in place while remaining decentralized, right? And you talked about that. The other thing you said that really piqued my interest, because I've never thought about it that way, but like a giant beehive or a giant ant colony, right? That we have all these people out there, and how can we together, because we all do want good outcomes, we all do want to be as effective as possible. How do we organize things while remaining flat, while remaining decentralized, where we can all work more effectively towards our common goal? Am I on track here? Am I off track, Exit?
You're totally on track. I mean, this really was something that you created, and you swim in this pool so well. So I feel like I'm the one who's catching up to it. But yeah, absolutely. I think that looking at methodologies that harness our collective power, not in a way where you're kind of the boss or a CEO, like you've been saying. You don't feel yourself a CEO of a company. You feel yourself as a major contributor to it. You feel yourself as someone who's helping to shape it. But it's all our collective power that makes it work. It's how do we harness that power, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And how do we do it in a way where people don't feel controlled? Because none of us want to feel controlled, and I don't, right? That's true, right? Like I don't really have any way to control anything within UFD. I can, I guess, lead by example to the extent that I'm considered a leader, but that's something that I have to earn every day. And everybody else out there, everybody, right? You, me, the person somewhere in the world, right? Because we're distributed all over the world that's watching, really has as much of an ability to contribute as anybody else in the community.
100%.
Yeah. You want to take a look at one of the slides, or you want to
just a tiny touch more maybe about the story of how I got into UFD, right? Because there's a bit of a gap here from this corporate guy and then UFD. So I left the corporate world a number of years ago, and I decided to stop trading time for money. And it's not like I was a millionaire or anything like that. It's not like I'm particularly wealthy. I just chose to live in geographies where cost of living is really low. So I mean, I take on certain small gigs occasionally when I need a cash influx, but I choose to live within my means and do it in a way where the things that bring me joy are the things that I focus my time on.
Wow.
So,
well, I need to say something, Exit. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm the exact same way. My grandpa, and I used to show this quite a bit. This was his clock. He died when he was 95. And I used to say, it's just a matter of time. That's why I wrote UFD. But this was actually my Grandpa Hal's clock. And when I was a little boy, he told me, always save 10 cents from every dollar that you make, right? Basically live below your means, and you'll have plenty of money for the rest of your life. And you'll have some independence and some freedom. And that's what, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but for anybody out there who's living beyond their means, trust me, you can be just as happy, if not even more peaceful and happier, living just a little bit below your means, because you get a lot of freedom. And it's amazing that you realize that you don't need brand new everything all the time to be happy. There's a lot of opportunity for that just in everyday life.
100%. I'm a big believer in the Mari Hondo way of life, which is, does it bring you joy, right? And traveling a fair bit, I trimmed down to just the things that are of better quality, but they don't need to be the best of the best. They just need to last me for a period of time, because I don't want to drag massive suitcases and things with me, right? It's kind of right. My wife and I chose this life for a reason.
And actually, awesome. I love it.
Thanks. And actually brings me back to what I want to talk about next, is how I got into UFD. And you may have already seen this story I posted on my profile a couple of weeks ago. So, if it's boring or repetitive, I apologize. I'll be fairly quick with it. But I got involved with UFD back at the tail end of December 24. For a couple of weeks already, my wife had been listening to your live streams and talking about this meteor is rising and you're missing out, blah blah. I was a degen in the trenches doing my leverage plays and losing my money and wondering why the casino just wasn't going my way. Like, this was supposed to be a get rich quick scheme. So what gives? And finally, by the end of December, I've seen enough where I'm going, there's something to this UFD thing. So I ended up buying a bunch of beans. And then I started bull posting and I kept increasing my position. Now, this was at about 15x the price of today's beans. So I'm by no means a narwhal in terms of the number of beans I hold, even though I've put in a fair amount of money into it. And then I stepped away for a period of time just to focus. I had some health issues and some other things were going on. And then a few months ago, I came back and started bull posting with a vengeance, like really going hardcore. And a few of the community members liked what I had to say on the timeline, and I was nominated for Duster of the Day. So I think it was Magic Mike and Jack who put me up probably for it. And thank you, by the way, for the distinction. It really meant a lot to me. It's something that I continue to feel like I'm living up to. I felt really humbled by that. And then after that, Jack tapped me on the shoulder to get me more involved on a call with you, actually. And I was a little bit reticent, I gotta say. I didn't want to interfere with the organic nature and growth of UFD. Coming from a corporate background with some strong ideas, I felt like I didn't want to impose my will in any way. So I was kind of navigating it in a soft way. But then I saw that, yes, there are a number of gaps that I do see. And then how do I fill them in the best way possible? So enough about me. I mean, I'm sure the viewers and listeners are here to learn a bit more about what we're up to, and all of this is, by the way, that I'm going to talk about part of the methodology that you've been evangelizing, if I can use that word, Ron, which is the buy, hold, build.
Yeah.
I bought the UFD beans. I'm holding them along the side of the community. And together we're building both our positions, meaning we're increasing our beans on the dips, and not only because some of them, like the OG Scott buys every day until we get to all-time high. But together we also build the community for the better.
Yeah.
And all the work that I'm about to talk about is things that I'm either involved in hands-on or leading in some way. But also I want to mention that there are very talented community members who are participating as well. So there's a lot of work happening in the background on top of what I'm going to talk about. This is not the sum total of what we're doing by any means.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to talk about kind of some overall structure strategies. I guess is a good way to say it, that we're going to implement. We're going to talk about some marketing improvements. We're going to give a sneak peek and some explanation about a new website that's being developed. And we're going to talk about the community Discord server. We got a lot to talk about. You're doing a lot. And for everybody out there, in case I forget at the end, thank you so much, Exit the Matrix, because you are doing a lot and you do bring a tremendous amount of very kind of high quality insight and talent and dedication to the project. So I want to make sure I get that in there before I forget at the end.
Well, now you made me blush. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Would you want to take a look at at some of the structure ideas?
Okay. Absolutely. Let's flash that up.
Let's see if I can pull that up on the screen, and that should be on the screen right now.
Right on. So
take it away.
The first thing I want to talk about is the org structure, because that's one of the big accomplishments that we have over the last couple of weeks. We now have a leadership team that's set up across all the domains. So you can see here on the picture, we've got different pillars, and specifically this is organized not as a pyramid, right? UFD community is actually at the top because we have a servant style of leadership, meaning that we are in the service of the community. And all the things that we're doing is to make things better for the community. I mentioned something like this before when I got Duster of the Day, and this isn't original, by the way. It was one of the Dusters that posted this before, so I adopted it as a saying. I work for you, you work for me, we all work for UFD. And this is all this work is going to increase the value of UFD, and ultimately, when value catches up to price, we will melt faces. And I don't mean it in any facetious way. This is not kind of a joke. This is really what I see happening. And then I'll start on the left because that's something that you would have seen quite a bit of work done on recently. And this is Jack heading up the work around engagement and specifically rating. So we have the 4 rating related groups. There are 3 specific rating groups and one that offers support by being a general outlet for conversation. And then these things are supported by leads and moderators, and so that's something that is part of it. Part of it is how we're organizing our marketing, and I'll touch on that in a moment. How we're handling our collaboration. So who are we reaching out to, for what reason, and what kind of value are we mutually generating through those collaborations? There's of course a group that's very visible, the creative side. So that's the art, the various art that's created, the merchandise, and so on and so forth. There'll be a lot more on that, especially as we complete the IP conversations that Ron has been already mentioning on the live streams. And we also have this channel called Emergency Response, because we know sometimes the poo hits the fan, right? Like it's things happen in the community. We are organic, and there are going to be disagreements. There are going to be dramas that come up. And as a leadership team, we want to make sure that we're dealing with them in a way that's constructive. It's not to close off conversations. It's not to squelch people in some way. But it is meant for us to remain true to our vision, which is good attracts good, and to be kind, and honesty, integrity, and prosperity for all. So we do want to kind of vector the community towards that, and that's the emergency response piece. And all of those pillars, all of those functions, if you will, are supported by things like finance, because these things need to be funded in some way, right? So we've got donation wallets of various types. There's some administration that happens. So when meetings happen, we need to take some notes. We need to make sure that people are actioning things and so on, that things are getting done. There's planning. So what's happening next and why? Why are we directing our efforts in a given way, especially since this is volunteer, right? There's the structure. How are we composed in such a way that we're still decentralized, still honoring the various gifts that we all bring to the table, but not tripping over each other. And in organizations, there's a way that they work, which is they form, so they come together. They storm, which is like things just people hit their heads against each other and so on. They norm, they kind of start to stabilize, and then they go into performing before they dissolve ultimately, if they're temporary, or they continue performing. So when I came into this, with a view of how do we get as quickly and efficiently as possible into the performing stage, and that is by setting some structure in place without being heavy-handed about it, right? We have a leadership team across all these domains. So we have representatives representing all these functions, and each one of us has a number of shadows. And this is set up so that there are other community members who are supporting us in such a way that, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, there's someone who can step in and start taking the role I'm doing.
By the way, we do not want that to happen.
It's just a saying, of course, but
Sure.
Life is life, and things can happen. While we do have a commitment that none of us is just going to up and leave without setting a succession plan in place and some explanation of it. Things can happen unexpectedly. So we do have backups, and that's important to also mention. That keeps the decentralized way of working.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We also have logistics that support us. So we have regular meetings, we have organized agendas, we have a structure to these meetings. We have speakers who are invited. Actually, we're going to have a chance to have the first one on our Monday call. So that's great. We're going to have more people who have specific domain expertise who are going to present their ideas and talk about the things that they want to tackle. We also have a UFD leadership Discord server, and that helps us stay organized. And the leadership team, by the way, this is not a secret. This is not some cabal that's organizing in the corner of the room doing things that are, not spoken about. We are going to post some information about the structure on the official X account very soon. We just wanted to have this live stream and provide the context of what it is that we're doing, why first. So that's kind of the sequencing of information. So that's more on the leadership side of things. I don't know, Ron, if you wanted to say anything else about the leadership side of things.
No, I think it's great, and I want to draw everyone's attention to the top of the graphic that I still have circled in red. In that, at the top is the UFD community. This is a flat structure. It's not a pyramid. I like your analogy earlier of almost like it's like organizing a beehive. And beehives can be very efficient, right? They're very efficient at what they do. And I think having this in place gets us to a place where we get to the perform stage. I wrote that down. You said organizations go through these cycles or periods, phases. They form, they storm, and then they kind of norm, and then they perform, right? And hopefully perform for a very long period of time. I'm just, and I feel like we're somewhere between and I'll ask for your opinion on this. When I hear that, I think we're somewhere right now between the storm and the norm phase, and what we want to do is get more, and we are performing, no doubt about it, but we want to move more into the perform phase. Is that an accurate assessment?
Absolutely. If I were coming into it as a consultant independently reviewing the organization, I would say that it's between the storming and actually between the storming and performing. Yeah. And it doesn't happen all at once, right? These things happen in pockets. So I would say that overall we're in the norming stage. And then sometimes we dip into the storming pieces, right? As little dramas come up, as little things that we haven't fully yet gelled around are come up. And there are some pockets in which we're starting to really perform. I think that the rating groups are a really good exemplar of that, because we've now achieved some cohesion. And while it's still early days, right, of this new structure, we're starting to see some performance. Our social dominance is really on the rise. The way that in which these groups are organized is really starting to fire on all cylinders. It's a pleasure to see. And kudos to Jack, by the way, for leading that, and all the folks who are involved as well.
Nate the Great. What about this analogy? I've shared this with a few people. I feel like as I'm observing and also part of what you're doing, that if we were carpenters, we've been using the old-fashioned hand saw, right, sawing the wood. That this initiative kind of gives us an opportunity to move from a manual saw to like a modern electric saw. Like we can still do the same thing and still perform, but now we can do it in a much more effective and efficient manner. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. There's actually something that speaks to it from an organizational perspective. On the corporate side, it's the CMMI, or it's like the corporate capability and maturity model. And this is how organizations are measured on different ends of the scale, right? 5 being like completely running smooth as butter and everything's working great, continually improving, and so on and so forth. But what it starts with is a complete mess, right? And then the next layer is where good things are being done, but the good things are being done through heroics, meaning we put a whole bunch of effort into making it happen. Yeah. So some examples of that, and I'll touch on them in a few moments when I start talking about the website a little bit deeper. But we have community members who put tremendous amount of effort and time into putting together presentations that speak to what does our social dominance look like, how many holders have been holding for X amount of time, and so on and so forth. And these things are great because we can all get a little bit on the side of hype, as in like getting so excited and talking big about UFD. And if I'm Joe Anand from retail, or Jane Anand from retail coming in, I'm probably skeptical because a lot of people are saying grand things, but most of them end up going nowhere. But when we post numbers, those numbers are pretty incontrovertible. People can say, yeah, you massage those numbers and you're putting them forward in a specific way. So there's a little bit of that, but at least it's mathematics. It's pure and simple. These are the numbers. We do have this percentage of holders who've been holding over X amount of time, and we do have this type of social dominance. But these things take effort to put together. So we're now getting into how do we automate these things so that they're present for us at will. Right, so that those community members who are putting so much of their effort on doing these things can focus their time in other areas where automations aren't yet possible. And it's like, how do we provide the most value out of the limited time that we have, while taking advantage of any automation tools that are out there to do some of the heavy lifting for us. And that's part of this optimization process that we're going through.
Yeah, so that would become more efficient, more effective, and there's a word that I love, resourceful.
Mhm.
You know, and get the biggest bang for our buck, or the best results for our efforts. And I'm super excited about this. I think it's a great idea, and in a strategy that and very grateful, because without you, Exit, this would not be happening. So. And everybody's always asking, right? That's a common, I'm going to come back to the main screen, but that's a common question that I got over and over the last 6-9 months. Like, is there a team in place? Is there? So what you just explained to everybody, I think it's indisputable. Yes, there's a team in place. And not only is it a team, but it's a team that's got some very, very, and I want to touch on this as well. Like, we've got some super high quality people in our community, and you exemplify that. I think anyone listening right now can sense, right, that you're smart, you're kind, you have good intentions, right? And but our whole, you know, we've got a lot of people out there like you who, if we can channel our efforts in the for lack of a better way to say it, in the right way, we can really create some big results, no doubt about it. I mean, like, we're different. And I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole too far, Exit, but I do think that we are different from most all, not all, because there's some other great communities out there, but most all other meme coin communities, in that we've got these people like you, like Georgie, like, and I could go on. So no one please be offended. Jack, you know, Nate the Great, all kinds of wonderful people out there that are passionate, but also mature, right? And if we can kind of channel our energies in a resourceful way, we have the potential. I mean, we're already doing pretty darn good, but we have the potential, I think, to do some incredible things.
100%. And I'll touch on something that you mentioned as well, which is you said, if I'm going to recount it correctly, that this wouldn't have happened, or this wouldn't be happening if I weren't here. I would say that it may not be happening on this timeline, but I have zero doubt that we have equally talented and much more talented persons than me on our overall team, as in the UFD team. And at some point, they would have stepped up. I mean, it might just be a matter of the free cycles that people have, but by no means I feel like I'm particularly smarter than other folks. I do have certain gifts, and I'm very, very happy to share them with the community. But I take pleasure in surrounding myself with people who are smarter than me. I think that's how we become effective ultimately, is by doing so.
Yeah, but I agree 100%, right? And we do. I mean, we've got a person helping us with our legal, our IP work, who is like incredible, right? I mean, like, and it is true, you know, because I've always read that, and I've never been the CEO of a company, okay? But I've heard CEOs say, you know, you want to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you are. And I'm not saying I'm the CEO of this company, but, you know, yeah, we do. And it's just cool the way that it's really cool the way that it's evolving. I guess that's a word that I come back to oftentimes. And, you know, you're a big part of the evolution, and I totally respect what you say. You're a very humble guy. Like, this would have happened without me. The Bean is a big part. I mean, we've got these great people. We've got a team. I mean, I think honestly, you know, just as I'm sitting here thinking now, you have me thinking, like, people like the Bean, people like just all, like, this is like a dream team. We don't just have a team, we have a dream team.
100%. 100%. And the dream team doesn't happen on its own too. So this is the next thing I wanted to cover, is just touch on the marketing improvements. Yep. So Georgie's heading this stuff up, and big kudos to her, of course, and P and the team around that. But some of the shifts that are coming our way is a little bit more structure there as well, shifting to a higher degree of action-oriented structure. And I'm saying it that specifically and explicitly so that you understand what this means. Everybody comes with ideas, and this has been part of the problem. Is there's a hailstorm of ideas pounding us on the head. Hurricane of ideas. Yes, hurricane of ideas. Absolutely. But not always are ideas matched with any notion of cycles to execute on them. And yet people sometimes throw an idea and they feel offended. Well, I had a great idea, but nothing happened. Well, come on. Did you do anything at all other than just throw it over the wall? So this is putting a little bit more accountability on our team members, because we can do better. We are better than that, actually, honestly.
Yeah.
Each one of us may not have the same gifts to contribute, but we have something that we can contribute. So if you've got an idea, we're looking to harness that idea, but we're also looking for some notion of skin in the game. Not just I threw this over the fence and no one did anything with it. No, I put it forward, and I'm willing to be involved in seeing it come to life. And that's the important thing, is seeing it come to life, so that, Georgie isn't just working 12 hours plus a day,
Right.
pulling her hair out, because we don't want to see that. But the teams that we have are enabled and supported by our amazing community members, some of whom may be sitting on the sidelines going, I kind of want to get involved, but I'm not sure if I should. Absolutely, you should. I'll get in a little rabbit hole for one moment. There's a reason why I choose to stay partly anonymous in terms of my identity. And it's like I said, I'm not holding 1 million plus beans. I'm not even holding a 500,000 beans, because I bought at a high price. However, I bought at a low price relative to where we're going. And this is it. One of the reasons why I'm choosing to remain anonymous at a certain level is I believe that we will be so wildly successful, that if I were fully doxxed, I would require a security team around me 24/7 going anywhere, especially within the geographies that I like to travel. I don't want that. I want to have a relative freedom, right?
Mhm.
And so this is how strongly I believe in where we're going. So I'll also say that I had a moment in my life where I invested in something that went absolutely bonkers. I invested a small amount of money, went to over $1 million. I didn't take it out. I saw it dwindle and kept hoping, oh no, it's going to come back, it's going to come back. And guess what? It's worth less now than it was when I first invested in it. So I've also had that experience. But the challenge there was that even though I put money into it, I did nothing to work for that. So the reason I say it is, in my experience, when I stumble, pardon the language, but S backwards into something and haven't worked for it, it finds a way of disappearing. So there's just a little cautionary tale that if you think you're going to suddenly become a millionaire off of UFD, but you've done nothing to make that happen, you may end up being disappointed. So any effort that you can contribute to it also ensures the durability of those profits. And that's just how I look at it.
Yeah.
So
anyways, I want to touch on one thing that you said this earlier, that we've got these and then I know we're there's more you want to cover, but you mentioned Georgie. I think of people like the Bean there, and you mentioned this earlier, like heroes, like right now, what's going on, kind of the phase of where our project is we do have certain heroes, people that step up and do incredible amounts of work. I mean, incredible amounts of work. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Exit, that the structure might help even alleviate, excuse me, a little bit of the pressure that's on these heroes that are out there, like going like way above and beyond, because we don't want those people to get burnt out either. I mean, sometimes, look, if Georgie, if you're listening, and I say this to the Bean and other people as well, sometimes I wonder, like, and I get worried. I'm like, well, I know how hard, like, Georgie worked on the Live Like a Unicorn charity drive, incredible amount of work. And like, I don't want her to get burnt out, right? Because I'm observing. I'm like, I know what it's like to be in that position. And do you think that the structure would help? How do I say it? Spread out some of the responsibilities.
Absolutely, it's about kind of shock amortization, right? We're going through these intense periods when the road is really, really bumpy. It's how do we set up some stability? How do we set up some process, even if that process isn't right? But once we have a process and it's documented, then when we run it through and we find mistakes, we can tune it so that next time it'll be better, rather than every time we're throwing everything we have into something in a less than organized way, and then each time we're just repeating that same effort. Well, we're not actually learning from it. We're not getting better as we go along, and the idea is for us to get better as we go along. And this actually is a perfect vector into the next thing I want to talk about. Ron, you have the slides for a couple of show and tell pieces, and this is the website 2.0.
Okay, yeah. Let me hold on one second. I will get that up. Let's see if this is. Do you want to start here? Okay.
Perfect. And so, of course, we want to leave some mystery here, and this isn't to keep it secret in any way. But you know, when you see something and then you see it again, it's just like, yeah, we saw this already. But where there's a little bit of mystery, there's a little bit of that. You know, you're unboxing something new and you get that excitement of, oh wow, this is better than I expected. Hopefully when you see the site live, that's what it'll be like for you. And so we just wanted to show a few snippets here. This is going to be a central place. The reason why we're putting it in place, central place to learn about UFD. So the snapshot that Ron is showing right now is the part of the onboarding page. So each one of the film panels, and by the way, you can scroll to the right, so it'll show more of it on the actual site. Each one of the film panels, when you click on it, there's a pop-up, and it shows you more information about what happened during that stage of our evolution. And then it started with the Silver Prelude. So this is where Ron's YouTube's channel about Silver was in play. Then the cosmic joke of it's all UFD, it's all unicorn fart dust, right? And the story around our origin, and on and on and on, through present day up into ultimately where we're going. And where is that? Valhalla! We already know, right? This is the I don't have a jar of beans to shake here, and I'm not going to even try to imitate.
Valhalla. There we go. It's not a live stream unless I shake the beans or I get in trouble with Jack.
That's awesome. It always gets me so jazzed and pumped, yeah.
And I want to point out as well. So this film strip will actually, people will be able to scroll through it. It'll actually move across the screen. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, exactly. So it'll reveal more as we go, and we can always add new panels to it because we're going to have other events that'll be pivotal to the other milestones on the journey that we're on.
I like that. We'll be adding to the story. The film will expand. Who knows? We may have 30 clips on the film by the end, right?
Exactly. So it'll grow with us. So this is a place to learn about UFD. It's also a place through which to buy. So we'll have links to all the different exchanges, and of course we'll be showing our sponsor MoonPay as one of the first ones. There'll be a little bit of a blurb about Ledger as well, because that's important. Exactly. So here we have the different things that are listed. We're going to have also learning about the Duster lore, and some super fun stuff in the space around it too. I'm not gonna go into detail, but you can expect some really cool stuff about becoming a Duster. Also finding out about who's being recognized and for what kind of events are coming up for us. A bit more transparency around the different things that we're doing. And it's not that we don't have transparency, because Ron, you talk about these things in live streams. There are various spaces that are being held, but for the base duster who puts some money in and just wants to check in periodically to see what's going on, they'd have to dig through a lot of content to get the skinny on what's happening. And the website and the Discord server are meant to provide that at a glance view of, here are some of the key things that are happening today. Here's some of the cool stuff that's coming up for us. And by the way, yeah, we've also done some really cool things in the past. And if you want a synopsis of what that looks like, there's a place where you can learn about it. Part of the website is also going to be focusing on our artwork, and that's the next slide there, and that's the NFTs, right? So we want to acknowledge the artists who are behind these things. And by the way, this isn't brute force built into the website. This is actually being pulled directly and live from Magic Eden. So this is going out to Magic Eden. It's grabbing out our collections. It's grabbing the information of the artists from the X pages they have listed there, and it's presenting it to you live. So as different NFTs are sold and the information changes, the pictures that you'll see on the bottom will also change. The prices that you'll see if you were to scroll through the page, because it'll have the name of the NFT and the price. It'll only show the first 15, by the way. That's how it's set up right now. But there'll be a link to where you can get more. And it won't necessarily just be these two collections and these two artists. There are more, but this is the starting point. We want to start featuring how incredibly talented our community is, and what some of the artistic gifts that we have look like, right? So this is it. There'll be a way also for us to show and represent the cool creations that other dusters have done. because we have some incredible community members who are putting together some awesome videos. I want to do a quick shout out to Royale and the Unicorn Fartman. The mask stays on. That's awesome. You know, things like that, things that are quickly becoming part of the UFD lore. It's just we want to showcase them somewhere, and the site is going to be a part of that. Timeline wise, it's launching within approximately 2 weeks. If we can make it happen quicker, we will absolutely make it happen quicker. Already our UFD official website, I've made a tiny modification to it yesterday just to point to the exchanges a little bit more easily. And this is in advance to a crypto conference that's happening in the UK, in which we will be having some posters and a mural, and some other cool things are happening there. I think Georgie already touched on it in her space yesterday. But when folks go to the official site, we already want them to be able to access the exchanges more easily than just buy UFD and go to Moonshot as it was leading them to. So these tweaks are going in. And by the way, even though I'm putting in, you know, about 8 hours a day on making this happen, there are other folks in the community. I want to shout out to Mason Duster, and a couple of other folks who are involved in the background, who are putting together some images, who are putting together some of the narrative, and so on and so forth. And just the overall leadership team too. You guys have been doing such a great job in supporting me with this and providing feedback and so on. Really cool stuff. Then the next thing I want to mention about.
Let me. I did exit. I apologize. I did a poor job of introducing that last segment. I do want to make it clear to everyone that what Exit was just talking about is a brand new website, and I think it's going to be the best website in the whole meme coin sector. So you've made some minor modifications to the existing website, but this is going to be a whole new website. So thank you again for that.
Well, my pleasure, 100%. It feels like there's a little bit of pressure now, so better live up to it. I'm really excited. It's not like I would say my right hand, like my preferred hand, working with websites, but when I need some spare cash, I do websites, and I enjoy it. So happy to turn this effort on UFD. The official Discord for the community as well is coming soon, and just a tiny little anecdote. When I started putting together the ideas for the new UFD website 2.0, I didn't want to just throw out one idea and say this is the way we're going. I wanted to present a couple of different pictures of what we could have to the leadership team, and have them interact with the static screenshots, if you will, static mockups, and get a sense of different look and feel that we could have for them. So I presented 3 different mockups, and we used the UFD leadership Discord to actually have each of the members look at 3 different options and then vote on it. So imagine in the future having different community raised thoughts, ideas presented on a Discord server where you can go and see what people thought of, and you have a voice in saying, which things are we going to prioritize just by voting on it? So this is really cool, because this will be how we will be harnessing our distributed ideas and power towards a common good, and you will have a direct voice. You'll be able to see represented, and it'll be codified. It's not like someone changed your vote, or it's not like a bot came in and voted 100 times. That's not going to be possible. One person, one vote. That's it. And not only one person, one vote. If you are a duster, you'll be known as a duster, because we will have a bot that is gating access to the duster community channel. So you'll actually approve a check against your wallet. This is a tool that's used by other large cryptos like Doge and SHIB and others. So these are tested tools. They're not some gray market thing that's going to steal your money. Only going to check that you're actually holding some beans, certain number of beans. You're considered a duster, okay? Now you have a voice in the UFD community. You're not some interloper coming in, getting 50 of your friends to vote on some stupid idea that's going to take us nowhere, right? This is actually people who have skin in the game, who want the value of their beans to grow, who are saying what we're doing next. Community calendar. Key activities, donation wallet transparency, so that you'll be able to see what are the things that we're allocating money to. If you've given some money to the donation wallet, you'll actually be able to have all of that information. Possibly in the future also the ability to both put polls together to suggest what we spend money on, and for people to vote on that. So if you could contribute to the wallet, have some say in how the money is being allocated. The whole idea overall, as I mentioned before, of having a backlog of thoughts, ideas that people can vote on, and much more. So there's some exciting work happening around partnerships, around the Narwhal program, and like I said, a lot more than what I've talked about. So I'll be kind of wrapping up here, but I want to also to do a few shout outs, which are by no means all exclusive, because there are so many incredible community members, and you guys really blow me away with your passion. But specifically, I want to acknowledge a few folks here. Magic Mike, Jack, Georgie, Carney, UFD Becker, you freaking crack me up, man. Elizabeth, the Dean, Scott, Nate the Great, Vincent, and of course Ron and Susie. You guys kind of take are the cream of the crop, and all of you, and I mean community at large, not just the individuals, as I mentioned, but you guys inspire me to be a better person. You inspire me to do more for the community. Thank you, and I am your servant. Humble servant of the way of the unicorn. And just a call to action. All of this, all of the stuff that I'm doing is just an example that we all, even someone like a small little ant like me, can step up. We can all contribute. We can all be leaders. All it takes is initiative and passion. So don't be afraid to share the skills that you have. We win together. Remember that I work for you, you work for me, and we all work for UFD. So horns up, dusters. Valhalla!
Valhalla! I could not have said it better, so I'm going to try to keep it short here. But as you were talking, what I envision, and I've said this before, like, we're not a hype coin, right? Hype is great, excitement is great. Don't get me wrong, but we're not a project built purely on hype, right? We're built on energy. And what you were saying to the community out there is, everybody matters. And if I think of our community, which I do, like an energy force that's evolving and, getting bigger and always changing, like every little bit of energy that anybody puts in, contributes to that overall energy force and the project that we're building together. And I want to say thank you, Exit.
Well, thank you, Ron. It's been a pleasure to be here. Thanks to the whole community. Like I said, you guys are truly an inspiration. And Ron, you doing this every day, live streaming like you committed to. And I was doing the website, so I recalled again the commitment letter that you wrote back in December 24. This is close to a year ago now. Yeah. You've been on it. You've been doing it. It's one of those very, very rare examples in the space where someone actually does what they say. And walks the talk. So my congratulations to you, and huge thanks to you, because you created this, you put this in play, and here we are. I can't wait to see where we are a year from now. I mean, it's going to be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun ride. Thank you, Exit. And I'm here because of the community, right? People like you, people like everyone out there. So thank you to everyone who joined us today. Exit, I believe, gave us a very clear description and view of what's going on in terms of initiatives within the community. Anyone who questioned whether we have a team that's working on things, I think we have more than a team. We have a dream team, and it's going to be super fun to see where it leads. Exit, thank you again, and I'm sure we're going to have calls to have you back on again soon. We've got over 400 people on with us live right now.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody. Horns up, dusters. Horns
up.